I'm Chyskillz and you're watching B-Shine. My first experience was with Rapper's Delight. That was my first record I ever listened to, and it was like, wow, that was really dope, man. That's what I wanted to do. Like, I knew since I was a little kid, I knew that's what I wanted to do. Like, I just love music, you know? All my life, I just like listening to music. And from listening to Kool Moe Dee and all of them, and Treacherous 3, Cold Crush, and all that, I was hooked. There were some older guys in my building, and I was like 10 years old, 10, 11, and they had left, they had a party the night before, and there was some turntables there. And they were, they playing around. They were like my neighbors, so I knocked on the door, and I wanted to learn how to DJ. I was like amazed, So I was off beat, of course. So and I picked it up. They gave me a few tips, and it just all went on from there. Yeah, actually, it's a few cats from my neighborhood. It was Large Professor, Sneak the Exotic, Mike Geronimo, Royal Flush. Large he was one of the first people I seen with a sampler, and we were a crew. I was DJing for them at the time. Him and Neek, we were all a little crew. We had to be about 14, 15, and then he had got a sampler, and he started working with Paul C. I don't know, the late great Paul C. He started working with him, and he brought an SP1200 on, and I was just amazed when he was like, "Yo, this is what we doing right now, making beats." It was like, alright, stop playing around. Then I had to go get me an SP. When I met Jam Master Jay, I met Fred on them because I was working at a studio. We was working on Neek stuff, and he introduced me to Fredro, and then Fredro was like, "Yo, this is my group, Onyx." I'm like, "Who the fuck is Onyx?" Alright, so I took his number, and he gave my number, we exchanged numbers. About a week and a half later, they called me and left a message. And with my mother, it's like, Jam J, Onyx. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I said, Onyx manager. They said, okay, call him. I said, you know what? Let me call this about. And that was the most important of my music call I made of my music career, because I sat down and had a meeting with Jay, and me and Jay we just gravitated to each other. It was dope. I was young at the time, so I was like 18 at that transitional point where you're like, damn, am I gonna go to school? What am I gonna do? And I chose to do music. But then after a while, once I actually made that call to JMJ, and I told her who it was, my mother was like, okay, this is important. So, but my mother's been very supportive over the years. She just loved it, bragging to her friends, and my son. She got a little plaques, all her plaques and all that. Slam was actually a different track. What happened was, we went in the studio, we did Throw Your Guns. Throw Your Guns was already dope. That was already out the way. Throw Your Guns, the single was out the way. So now we continue to work on the album, and they came up with the hook. Slam, the Boys Be Boys. They used that from the Champ record back in the day. So they did the hook. I did it on a different beat. So what I did was I think we ran out of studio time. So I took the vocals home and worked on it, and the beat that's on the actual record, I did in my house by myself. And I knew that record was gonna be. I just felt it. I was like, yo, this is it right now. It was a nice record. The box, you remember the box? It's like the record stayed slams for almost a year straight. It was on it every day. I said 4 or 5 times a day. And then I knew we was successful. Because I was in the videos, the first few videos, DJing and all that stuff for them. When I went to the mall and people were just mobbing me, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then it really hit me wow, this is really I'm on top of my game right now. I was so dedicated to doing hip hop. I wasn't working. I had the studio. We had a studio in Jamaica. I used to take the bus out there, and I broke my ankle playing basketball, and I used to have to take my keyboard out there every day. I was trooping it out there with a cast on in the wintertime, with a crutch and a big keyboard case, going to the studio to work on the stuff to get my music right. And it paid off. Hard work pays off, kids. When I received my first platinum plaque, and then I got one for my mother. that was like, you know, my highlight of my life. Like when I gave her a plaque and, hey, here you go, Mom. Even more than making all the money that I've made over the years, that was more important to me. Like, here, Mom, this is for you. I just want to be appreciated for my music. You know, I like the fact that people just, you know, appreciate real hip hop, man. It's just sad the way the music is gone nowadays. It's like nobody is creative. I don't think nobody's creative in this.